You opened a can of tuna. Your cat lost her mind. She was weaving between your ankles, meowing like she hadn't eaten in 3 days, acting like this was the greatest moment of her life. So you started buying fish. Tuna pouches, salmon pâté, whitefish, and shrimp. You became that person in the pet food aisle reading ingredient labels. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Your cat probably shouldn't be eating that much fish at all. And the reason she goes absolutely feral for it? It has nothing to do with love. It has nothing to do with preference. Not really. It's something older and stranger and more interesting than that. And once you understand it, you'll never look at your cat's favorite food the same way again. It's early May in the Bay Area. That particular Northern California spring, where the mornings are still gray and cool, marine layers sitting low over the hills. But by afternoon, the light comes in warm and golden through the kitchen window. The kind of day where you leave the back door cracked and the house smells like jasmine and whatever you're cooking. This is where we find Marcus and his Bengal, Rio. Rio is 3 years old, lean and spotted, with the kind of energy that makes you wonder if she ever fully sleeps. Bengals are like that. They were bred from Asian leopard cats not that many generations back, and sometimes you can feel it. She doesn't just sit in a room. She occupies it. Marcus adopted Rio during the pandemic. He's 34, works from home, and somewhere along the way, Rio became not just a pet, but the main relationship in his apartment. He knows her moods. He tracks what she eats. He's spent an embarrassing amount of money trying to figure out what she actually likes. And what she likes, apparently, is fish. Every single time, without fail. Marcus takes that as a sign of love, as communication, as knowing her. What he doesn't know yet is that he might be confusing intensity with preference, and that those two things, in cats, are almost never the same. The first time Marcus noticed something was off, it was a Tuesday. He'd bought a new brand, wild-caught salmon, premium everything. He set it down. Rio sprinted over, took about 4 bites, and walked away, left half the bowl untouched. He stood there for a moment, a little hurt, honestly, like she'd rejected something he'd done for her. He thought, she's being picky. She wanted something different today. But what was actually happening is something behaviorists call neophilia, a hardwired drive toward novel, intense stimuli. Cats in the wild don't eat the same prey every day. Their brains are built to respond strongly to new smells, new textures, new sensory information. Fish has one of the most volatile, potent scent profiles of any food. The first time Rio smells salmon in this kitchen, her nervous system lights up like a fire alarm. But it's not love. It's novelty. And novelty, by definition, fades. The intensity she showed that first time was never really about the salmon. It was about the signal. And once the signal becomes routine, the response quiets down. Not because she likes it less, but because her brain has already filed it as known. Marcus wasn't watching preference. He was watching a nervous system do exactly what it evolved to do. The second moment came a few months later. Rio started turning down fish altogether. Certain days, seemingly random, and Marcus couldn't figure out the pattern. He got worried. He Googled symptoms. He switched brands again. He sat on the kitchen floor next to her bowl at 7 a.m., trying to coax her into eating. His interpretation: something was wrong. She was sick. or stressed, or he'd done something. What he didn't know is that cats are obligate carnivores with very specific nutritional thresholds. And fish, despite the mythology, is actually not an ideal staple diet for them. High mercury content over time, low taurine in some preparations, a type of enzyme in raw fish that destroys B vitamins. The body knows things the brain doesn't always explain clearly. Rio wasn't being difficult. Her system was likely just regulating, steering her away from something she'd been having too much of. Cats don't have the language to say, "I need something different today." They just stop. They walk away. They sit next to an empty bowl and wait for you to figure it out. And we, because we love them, because we want to understand, we read rejection into it. We make it about ourselves. Marcus sat on that kitchen floor and felt like he'd failed her, when really, she was just fine, doing exactly what her body was built to do. There's something quietly humbling about that, about realizing the animal you're trying so hard to read is not always sending a message. Sometimes she's just living, and we're the ones writing the story. The third thing. This one matters. One evening, Marcus made himself dinner. Grilled chicken, nothing special. Rio jumped onto the counter before he could stop her and shoved her face directly toward the plate. Not the fish in her bowl. Not the salmon pouch he'd opened 20 minutes earlier, which she'd ignored. The plain, unseasoned chicken he'd cooked for himself. He laughed it off, moved her down. But he kept thinking about it later. Because here's what that moment actually showed. Rio doesn't prefer fish. She prefers him. His food, his space, his smell. What he's handling, what he's paying attention to, what carries the warmth of his presence in that moment. Bengal cats bond hard to their primary person. They're not aloof, they're selective. And Rio's version of connection isn't sitting in his lap. It's being in whatever he's in. Eating adjacent to what he's eating. Following the invisible line of his attention. Marcus had spent 2 years buying fish because he thought that was her love language. And the whole time she'd been trying to tell him that her love language was just him. Being near him. Being part of whatever he was doing. He'd been answering a question she wasn't asking. The fish thing is a story we've been telling about cats for so long, it feels like fact. Cartoons, commercials, the entire pet food industry. All of it built on this image of the cat and the fish. But real cats, living real lives in real California apartments with real people who love them, are doing something much more nuanced than chasing a smell. They're navigating trust. They're regulating their own bodies. They're looking for connection in the only language they have. Proximity, attention, the quiet act of being present in your space. What Marcus finally understood, sitting in his kitchen on a warm May evening, with Rio pressed against his leg and her salmon bowl untouched across the room, is that she never needed the expensive fish. She just needed him to stop performing love and start being present for it. The bowl can be simple. The food can be appropriate. The relationship doesn't need to be earned with the right ingredients. It was already there. It had been there the whole time. He just kept looking in the wrong bowl.